Okay, I wanted to show you some differences in yarns and hooks. So we're going to talk about what is good for a beginner. As you can see, we have all different types of yarns here. I'll move these out of the way. And I want to show you how to read the label on some of these yarns. So let me turn it right side up. That would help, wouldn't it? If you take a look at this, you'll see like a little skein of yarn, skein, however you want to pronounce it, and it has a number on it. The number is the thickness of the yarn. The smaller the number, the smaller the thickness on the yarn. And then it kind of gives you an idea of like what hook to use for crochet, what needle to use for knitting, and these are the symbols for how to launder it. So when you make a piece, this will tell you like how you take care of it. It also tells you like how much is in this ball of yarn, and give you a little bit more instructions on washing. That's typically what label on yarns look like. So as you can see, this loops and threads. This is a 4, and it gives you some more information there as well. So that's pretty standard on yarns. So as you can see, this cupcake yarn was a size 3. So I'll pull some of this out, and I love the center pull, but oh my goodness, is it a pain. So see, had a little baby. So this is fairly thin, and this is a size 4 yarn, and I have not pulled the center out of this either. I should have gotten one that I did already. So I apologize, but I'll just kind of pull a little bit out so you can see the difference here. There's a big difference in the thickness of the yarn. I would say the thicker the yarn, the easier it is to work with. However, the big, thick, chunky yarn that's like twice the size of this yarn, for me, is a little difficult to work with. Just because it's so big and you have to use such a bigger hook, it kind of hurts my hand. So, but play with the different sizes of yarn. They're really not too expensive, so you can kind of, get a skein of different ones to see what works. The best one I think to work with is like a size 4 type of acrylic yarn, and this is just a cheap Big Twist brand. It's a value yarn, and most of them are 100% acrylic. Now, this only comes into play and is important depending upon the type of piece that you're making. So if you're making something like a scarf or for everyday use, you kind of want to feel it and make sure, it feels soft. Sometimes acrylic yarn doesn't soften up until you put it through the wash and through the dryer. This Loops and Threads chenille is already super soft. There's this one that's the Karen Latte Cakes. This is from Yarn Inspirations. This one is like super, super soft. This is like velvety soft. And it's kind of what I call hairy, I guess you could say. But this is a size 5. It's a little bit bigger. So you can kind of see, all the different sizes here. And again, we'll just pull a piece out. This one, you kind of have to, I don't know, weigh in on it and make your own decision as to whether you think the size of yarn matters, because the black is a size 4. You can see that. I'll make sure I get in there. The black is a size 4. The fuzzy is a size 5. And I think the only reason why they call this is, it depends upon like the number of fibers that are woven in it is the size. So these fibers have to be a bit smaller because they're about the same size as a size 5, or a size 4, I'm sorry. So they're about the same thickness. So when you're working with patterns and you're making a hat, let's say, you use this yarn, size 4, and that's what it calls for. But then you ask yourself, could it take a size 5 because you really like this yarn because it's really fuzzy? Well, because it's the same thickness, it should come out at the same gauge. Just make sure that you create a swatch. And every pattern should have a swatch gauge size. We'll go over that later. But that way your sizing isn't off. And even with this type, make sure your sizing's not off. With wearables, like hats, mittens, gloves, stockings, those types of things. Now, if you're making a scarf, gauge isn't so important. If you're making an Afghan, gauge isn't so important unless your Afghan grows to the size of Bigfoot. But I've had that happen before. So that's the types of yarns. I highly recommend just getting you maybe just like a cheap skein of regular acrylic yarn. This will cost you around $5 depending on where you are. And just start. So that's my suggestion. Also, hook sizes. This is my hook carrier that my mother made me. Absolutely love it. I've used it so much it probably needs washed, and my cats love to chew on ribbon. It was longer so you could like tie it. And I've made a few of these and sold them. If somebody's interested, then I'll definitely make them one, and I can embroider something special on the inside. But this is mine, and it's quite large. I don't know if it'll all fit in the picture there, but if you open it up, I have hook sizes from, this is a size P hook, all the way down to a 00. So I think it's a 00. No, this is a 14. Yeah, the 00 starts at 0 and then it gets into the number. So hook sizes are by letters or size. And then it starts at 0 and it goes up to the numbers. So the bigger the number, and this is US, the number, and then the millimeter, I believe, is a European measurement. So it depends on the pattern that you get as to what size hook you get. So like this one is a size H, if you can see that, or an 8.5 millimeter. I'm sorry, an 8 to 5 millimeter. It's a little hard to see there. But I do like these metal hooks. I've just always used them, so I'm used to them. Some people like the ergonomic hooks, so play with them, buy one, figure out which one that you like better. Personally, to start out with on this size yarn, a G hook is perfect. So some of them, and again, you can play with the types of hooks. Some of them have a point at the end, some of them have a rounded end, some of them have a point at the tip, and some of them have a rounded tip. So it depends upon what type of work that you're doing. If you're doing precision work that you really need like a pointed tip to kind of get through the stitches, then that would be the type of crochet hook you could purchase. The other one, this type of hook is okay for me because I usually work with the regular acrylic or some of these other ones. If you're working with yarn that is not tightly woven together, you might not want that pointy end because it will separate your yarn. So just play with the hooks and see what you like. But the regular acrylic yarn and just any old G or even an H hook will work just fine, whatever you can find. You can just purchase one, get you a skein of yarn, and just start playing with it and see what you can come up with, and just do some chains and single crochets to start out with, and that works. So that's a good starter thing. Now, to start out with, what do you need? And I have in my to-go bag here, which I'm making a to-go bag, I have a small pair of scissors, and I have a pack of like needles, so whenever you need to weave in ends or what have you. So I have that there. And what else do I have? Oh, my project that I'm working on. So a couple more hooks. So, but you'll find as you love to crochet, you will gather more and more hooks, just like I have. The smaller hooks are more for like lace and doily work, which I absolutely love to do. That's a lot of fun. You might also want to pick up As you get into projects, and I'll show you what I use for stitch markers, and I bought these off of Amazon. This is just a little container of them. I think you can get them at Michael's as well. These little plastic pieces. I don't like the stitch markers that have pointy ends on them. So these you can easily open up, and then they just have a little thing on there that you push through the hole. And then they hold for you, and they're super easy to just undo and pull right out, because you can pull it from that end and it won't catch on your stitches. Some of the other ones that have like the little clips or their metal little hooks or what have you, sometimes they get caught in your yarn. That's just my personal opinion. Now, you may like those, that's fine, but just play with them and figure out what works best for you. So I hope you find this video helpful. If you have any ideas with special hooks or different things or questions, feel free to message me, and have a great day.